Hello everyone, welcome to Wind Down Wednesdays. I'm your host Paula Taylor and this is episode 105. So a quick thank you to everybody who tuned in for last week's 2-year anniversary celebration sound bath. I know there were some issues with the video, which I was a little bit disappointed in because I don't know that that's happened much before. So of course it happens when I'm doing a big episode that I'm really excited about, but the sound came through really, really well. So you can go to, the podcast is out now and I actually listened to it. I highly recommend listening to the podcast, especially to do the meditation. It's really nice sometimes to be in a space where you can kind of listen with your eyes closed. You don't have those visual cues. And I listen to the sound bath as I'm channeling these things. I'm aware of what's happening, but I don't get to receive them in the same way I do when I'm listening later. And I listened to the sound bath and it was a really powerful experience. I really enjoyed it. So I highly suggest that you go and listen to that even if you've already seen it. And I put a link here in the Facebook video to the podcast page. You can go to paulataylorenergy.com, click on the podcast page, and then there's links to anywhere the podcast is. It's pretty much on all major platforms. You can also just go to your favorite platform and search for Wind Down Wednesdays. And you can also go to that place to support my work financially. So there's a link on the podcast page where you can donate to kind of help support the show financially if you feel so called to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about these virtual sound baths and kind of where things are headed briefly before we get into our topic tonight. But before I forget, I want to make a quick comment about next week's show. Next week's show is pre-recorded. It's already done. It's a really good show. I'm going to be on the road next week. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't worried about getting back in time to do the live show. And so we did 6 episodes about trauma-based fears. We did an episode about trauma healing, kind of. Before that, we did a bunch of episodes about spiritual awakening. And I felt like I wanted to bridge that gap between spiritual awakening and trauma release. Like, what is the connection there? And that's what next week's show is about. It's a really good show. I highly recommend that you tune in for that. It will not be live, so it'll just be posted. It'll actually be posted to the podcasts right at 7 p.m. as well as to Facebook. So you have to just go to the Paula Taylor Energy Facebook page and look for the post, or go to your podcast and look for the new episode. So tonight we are going to do kind of a unique card pull, and I'm going to talk really briefly. I want to get into the card pull because we're going to pull 4 cards and we're going to pull from 2 different decks, which I don't know that I've ever done that before. I like to follow rules. So I'm like, I'm going to pull from this deck and then I'm going to pull from this deck, and I might do 2 separate readings on the same day, but we're going to kind of combine these 2 decks, which go together so well, into one reading. So I want to just briefly talk about, like, what is this reading for? What are we doing? So we're doing a reading for the Lion's Gate. And as I've mentioned many times before, I'm not an astrologer. I'm not a numerologist. You can read all about this. But essentially, the Lion's Gate is this portal that opens every year around this time. Excuse me. And there's a lot of potent energy that's coming in. And this year it happened to open most fully on August 8th, which is 8/8, and there's a bunch of abundance and manifestation kind of stuff that goes with the number 8. I'm going to talk to you about what I'm feeling and what the people in my orbit have been feeling, and then we're going to do a poll on that. And I do like astrology and numerology because we absolutely have collective experiences. We have individual experiences. There's probably something going on in your life that's maybe not going on in anyone else's life right now, but we're also in this collective experience. And so for a lot of people recently, I've been interacting in some different, I'm in a class, I'm teaching classes, I did a sound bath, like I've been interacting with people personally and professionally in a lot of different ways in the last couple weeks. And what I'm hearing a lot boils down to 2 words for me. It's release and renewal. So what's happening right now, and believe you me, I'm going through it personally myself. There's this really potent, powerful energy coming in. And there's 2 sides to this energy. There's what you're seeing a lot of on social media, which is this abundance and manifesting it, and what am I creating for the year ahead? And sometimes I find that to be a little bit on that toxic positivity side. Because what if you're not feeling, I have been feeling really overwhelmed and a little bit tired and sluggish and not physically good, which I think I was going to say I talked about last week, but I think it's in the one that airs next week. And I may have talked about it a little bit kind of in the weeks leading up to now. So what I am feeling from this really powerful energy is that there's a lot of opportunity for release right now. But what happens when we release is that these things come up to the surface to be released. So when you're ready to release something, or when something's coming to your awareness saying, hey, you can release me now, it tends to be unpleasant because the things we are releasing are the things that are no longer serving us. So these are like these trauma-based fears that we just spent 6 weeks over the last 2 months or so on. These are things like those old core beliefs that are no longer serving you. And that is some heavy stuff. And that can be absolutely overwhelming. It can be draining. You might feel really tired and slow and sluggish right now. And that's okay. Don't let yourself get confused by the messaging that's coming out. If you're in this kind of new age sort of field that I'm in, you know, I kept seeing all this stuff about manifest your life. And I was like, how can I manifest my life when I feel kind of crappy? Like, I don't want to manifest crappiness. And then I felt all this pressure. So the release, we have opportunity for release, which can be heavy and overwhelming. But when we release, then we have this opportunity for renewal. And to whatever extent we can release, we have opportunity for renewal. So maybe you're not working with the big heavy core belief or a trauma-based fear or something that's, you know, been plaguing you for maybe lifetimes. Maybe you're working on a smaller scale right now, and that's perfectly fine. Whatever you release energetically leaves room for you to call in new, fresh, inspired energy. And that is what those people are talking about when they're talking about manifestation and abundance, and this is a powerful, potent time to create your reality for what's coming next. But I think what a lot of them are missing is the other component of that, is that you have to have space in your energetic field to call this energy in. So if you're holding a bunch of stagnation, if you're holding a bunch of fearful vibrations, there's not room for that new energy to flow. So what we're going to do tonight is that we're going to dig into this idea of release and renewal a little bit through the cards. So I've already shuffled the cards. I've got 2 beautiful decks tonight. I've got the one that I keep telling everyone about that I haven't really shown, and that's the Work Your Light Oracle cards by Rebecca Campbell. And then I've got this other deck that I've mentioned once or twice that's called Gateway of Light Activation Oracle, and that's Kyle Gray. And you'll notice that these both have really rich colors, and what I've been using these a lot in my own life, and these decks work together really well. And I think part of the reason they're working so well for me is that they both hold this kind of light language coding that is part of the dimensional frequency expansion frequencies that I have been calling in for the last couple of years. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull a release card from each deck, and then we're going to pull a renewal card from each deck, and then we'll just kind of see what comes up, and then we'll meditate on whatever comes up. So let's start by pulling a release card from the Work Your Light Oracle deck. Right. Ooh, I've gotten this card a couple times recently. It's really beautiful. So this card, I was trying to decide if I wanted to pull the next release or go one card at a time. We're going to go one card at a time. So I'm going to show this to the camera really quick. This card says Lemuria. I think that's how you say that. It's a really, really beautiful card. I really love the imagery of this deck. There's a lot of imagery in both of these decks that I actually see in my energetic sanctuary, which I think is really cool. So at the bottom of this card, it says, creating heaven on earth, it's happening. And there's this really beautiful scenery where you can see kind of some rocks and trees and water. It looks like there's a sunset in the background. There's some beautiful, in the foreground, kind of glacial looking water, that really blue water that you only get from a glacier. There's a little bit of what looks like maybe a glacier there. There's a waterfall. It's just very paradise. It looks like someone's idea of paradise. Interesting. Okay, I am going to pull the second release card. We'll see kind of what comes up as these two decks work together, which, like I said, I don't think I've ever really done this before. So why not try something new? That's part of our renewal, right? Is trying new things. Oh, this is a really beautiful card. I haven't seen this one yet. So this card says Heart of Source. I'm going to show it to the camera. And at the bottom it says all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity. And there's kind of rays of light at the center of this coming out, kind of like a star. Like sometimes you see the, is it the Star of Bethlehem? That's what's coming to my mind. And then there's a circle, and then there's kind of circles within a circle, reds and oranges and a little bit of pink with some kind of scroll work that looks kind of ancient to me. And then in the background of the card, there's some really beautiful kind of space colors like purples, things that you might see if you're looking at a nebula picture in space. So it's interesting, we're talking about release, and we pulled two really beautiful cards. And that's why I wanted to pull the second card, because I was like, well, what are we releasing? If we're creating heaven on earth and it's already happening, what are we releasing? And what I'm getting here is, and this has been coming up for me a lot recently. So the thing that's standing out on the second card is unconditional acceptance. So we talk all the time on the show about unconditional love. This says all-encompassing love. I think those are kind of interchangeable. And how do we get there? It's through unconditional acceptance. And it's so hard to do. It's really hard to unconditionally accept ourselves. It's really hard to unconditionally accept the world as it is. But the interesting thing about that is that that's actually how we create change. You might say, if I accept all of my circumstances, even the ones that I'm not happy with, on the micro and the macro level, on that worldly level, on that global level, what is my impetus to change? But as we've talked about so often, the outer world reflects the inner world. So when we could release this idea that there are conditions to our love, whether it's for ourselves or others. There are conditions to our acceptance of ourselves and others. That is what we are being called to release. And it's interesting, these cards work together. What I am getting from this is that if we can do that, it leads us to the serenity and this idea of heaven on earth. Heaven on earth is living in that state of unconditional acceptance, of living in that state of radical, unconditional love of self and others. And it's not easy. That's a huge release. Releasing all of those beliefs, those fears, those negative thought patterns that we've picked up over the years or that we kind of came into this body with, that is heavy work. And as I said before, if you're feeling a little bit tired right now, if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, this is a heavy work of release. So let's pull the renewal cards and kind of see how all these four cards work together here. So I'm going to pull the renewal card from the Work Your Light Oracle first. I have to say I'm getting better at intuitively grabbing my cards more quickly as I've been pulling a lot of cards for myself recently, and it definitely, practice makes progress, as they say. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to pull both cards this time kind of together. So renewal card from the Gateway of Light Activation deck. And it's funny, sometimes when I pull these cards and you pull cards with a specific question in mind, sometimes it's helpful to have all the cards because they sometimes don't come out in logical order. And once you see all the cards, then you get kind of a better idea. Man, this is so interesting. Okay, so I'm looking at this layout. I wish I had a camera that I could point down. And I think these cards, I'm not sure these cards came out in the, like I said, I'm pulling release cards and I'm pulling renewal cards. And I think they're all kind of jumbled up. And I think that's purposeful because we're doing this work at the same time. Like I say, release comes and then renewal comes. I'm going to talk about that a lot next week. Like, yes, we have to release in order to renew, but sometimes this work is happening simultaneously. So the Work Your Oracle card that I pulled says, trust the niggle, Niggle. And under that it says, what is this niggling feeling trying to tell you? And there's a picture of 3 women, and the one in the front is kind of dressed in this beautiful lavender robe, and she looks very meditative. And then there's 2 women behind her, one with her eyes closed and one with her eyes open. And then in the background, it's kind of this black and white forest. Show that to the camera again. So what I get from this card, I've gotten this card a couple times as well. And this card is calling for us to tap into our intuition. Trust that little voice inside of you that maybe you couldn't hear. That's the renewal. The release is, I let go of the blocks that have been keeping me from hearing my intuitive guidance. That's what I'm getting here. And when I can do that, I'm going to get to this paradise on earth state. And it's so interesting because the first Work Your Oracle, Work Your Light card we pulled was this Lemuria, Heaven on Earth. So the second of this Gateway of Light activation card is Shambhala Initiations. And Shambhala is another word for Shangri-La, which is this mythical place that kind of exists somewhere between worlds that's said to exist out in Tibet somewhere. And the bottom of this says, retreating to recharge, trusting in the process, and Dharma. And this is a really beautiful card. There's this temple of gold kind of in the back, and it looks like in order to get there, you pass through this beautiful rainbow mountainous pass. It's just a really beautifully colored card. There's a lot of purples and kind of blues in the background, and then this gold temple. And again, it's really interesting that I feel like we pulled 2 paradise cards basically. One was for renewal and one was for release, right? And again, this is not necessarily a linear process, and that's always true when you're dealing with anything emotional, spiritual, mental. So what I'm getting from this kind of overall reading is that what we need to release are the blocks to our intuition. And part of the blocking of our intuition happens when we're not trusting ourselves, because we don't have that unconditional acceptance of ourselves. We're still thinking there's something wrong with us. I just had this thought earlier this week. What is wrong with me? I don't know if you can hear the thunder in the background. It's pretty cool. I just had this thought earlier this week. What is wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? That is not a thought that serves me. Now, thinking about a situation, what is not working about this situation is one thing, but thinking that there's something inherently wrong with me that is making the situation not work is a belief that I'm ready to release. That's part of that card that we pulled that was talking about all-encompassing love, unconditional acceptance, and serenity. And then we've got these other 2 cards about retreating to recharge, trusting in the process. So basically we've pulled 2 trust cards. That was the renewal cards. When we can release, we will be led to greater trust of ourselves, greater trust of this intuitive process, greater trust of our dharmic path, our life's path, what we're here to do. But in order to kind of get there, we need to work on releasing some of the things that have been holding us back, like not listening to our intuition, like not having that unconditional acceptance and love for ourselves and others. All right, I think that feels complete to me in terms of, and it's really interesting, again, the way these came out. They came out not exactly in a linear order, but I think this reading makes a lot of sense to me, and it makes a lot of sense with what's coming in energetically. What I'm feeling intuitively is that this portal is opening, and it's giving us this invitation to release, to release that which no longer serves. And what is at the base of everything that no longer serves us? It's that belief that in some way we are not inherently worthy. We do not accept something about ourselves or others. We do not love something about ourselves or others. And again, it's a heavy process. It's a process of release. But just being aware of that, maybe we release, we talk about excavation. Maybe we dig down 1 or 2 layers. This doesn't have to be like a trip to the center of the earth here. It can be if you're ready for that. That's where I feel like I'm at right now. I'm in that really heavy moving and releasing process. And the beautiful thing about, again, any kind of release makes room for new energy to come in. It makes space for that intuitive information to come in. What is my path? What am I being called to do in terms of serving the collective? What are the little tiny things that can come to me on a daily basis if I'm open to my intuition? What are the opportunities for myself I can see when I'm not being kind of blinded, when I'm not wearing these blinders, these goggles of this reflection of imperfection? If I see perfection everywhere, if I accept that everything is perfectly imperfect or imperfectly perfect or whatever word you want to use for that, whatever phrase, I make space to step into flow. I make space to allow this beautiful flow of energy that does create that heaven on earth, this beautiful flow of unconditional love that is what we're made of, that just gets sometimes covered up by those things that we need to release. So, I'm just thinking about the meditation for tonight and where we feel like we need to go. I don't know where we're going. We're just going to go, we're going to meditate and we're going to see what happens. That's trusting that process. That's stepping into that flow. We're just going to get into it and see what happens. So let's meditate together. So for this meditation, just find a comfortable position, whatever position calls to you. I'm not sure where we're going, so let's be receptive here. That's what's coming to me. So one of my favorite positions to receive in is that Shavasana pose of yoga. Lying on my back with my hands face up, with my legs comfortably out. You can put something under your knees to support your knees or under your head or neck. That's what's coming to me here. If that's not comfortable for you, just get into any kind of position that feels like you're open to receive. We are open to receive in this meditation. Take a few nice deep breaths in through your nose, sigh them out with that audible ha sound. Let yourself come out of that fight, flight, or freeze and into ease. That is the first step in release and renewal. Coming out of that sympathetic response and coming into the parasympathetic. So do that as many times as it takes for your body to start to feel a little bit more relaxed, for your mind to start to feel a little bit more still. Give yourself the gift of coming fully present here just for the next 10 minutes or so while we do this meditation together. And without thinking too much about this, just set the intention for this meditation to release anything you're ready to let go of that no longer serves you. And you might say that out loud. I now release anything I've been holding on to that's no longer serving me. I am ready to release. And if you say it in this beautiful posture of receptivity, you take away a little bit of the heaviness of that release process. We hand it over to the universe, to that source, to that divine light that we're always calling in. That is really the essence of who we are. So again, out loud if you can, or just in your mind say, I now release Anything I've been holding on to which no longer serves me, I am ready to release. I release with joy and ease. And then just let yourself sink into the support of whatever surface you're on here. If you're lying on the ground, really let the ground support you. If you're sitting up, really sink into your chair or the floor or your cushion. Let yourself be supported here. The universe is here to support us in this release and renewal process. If we can just get out of our own way, we can release with ease. We can open to that renewing, beautiful, flowing, potent energy that is always at our disposal if we can receive it, if we can be open to receive it. Bring your awareness to your heart center. You might bring your hand to your heart here or two. Notice how your heart feels right now. Notice how this space in your chest feels. Does it feel tight? Does it feel open? Does it feel painful? Just notice what it feels like and release the judgment here. Release the idea that you need to feel a certain way. Let yourself feel however you feel here. And then start to picture some sort of beautiful flower here at the center of your chest. It can be any kind of flower that calls to you. And start to feel this flower open up. Feel the sunlight encouraging this flower to open, that beautiful light of divine love that's shining down on you, that's shining from within you. Let this beautiful flower begin to open, and maybe it just opens a fraction of a centimeter, a fraction of an inch. That's okay. If you come back to this, each time you encourage this flower to open, it will open and bloom more and more vibrantly, with more and more ease. So if this feels hard, if your chest feels tight and this feels like it doesn't want to happen, that's okay. Just set the intention. I am open to blooming my heart flower. I am open to allowing my heart flower to open. I am receptive. And I allow my heart to open to the extent that it can in this moment. And let that be enough. You don't have to have a huge opening, a huge awakening. And if you are, beautiful, go with it. But sometimes the biggest changes come in the smallest increments, in that repetition. So if your little heart flower is just struggling to open its petals a little bit, give it love, give it praise. Tell that beautiful little flower, I love you so much, whether you're open or closed. I shower you with love and light, and I feed you with that love and light. And when you're ready to open, I know you will open. We will open together as we're ready. Just sending that acceptance into the heart space can be enough to soften some of that tightness, to soften some of those walls that we build up that keep us from receiving to our fullest extent. And now bring your awareness to that beautiful cave, that solar plexus, that sacral chakra, the upper and lower bellies. Again, you might put your hands on your belly here, whatever feels good. And again, notice how this space feels. What does it feel like inside this beautiful cave? You might not know the beauty of this cave. You might just see it as a dark, scary place, and that's okay. Let's light even a single candle in this space, in this meditation today. Maybe you're just in an old Victorian movie and you're carrying a little candle around. Maybe you've got a flashlight or a torch. But as you look around this space, notice that it is so beautiful. This is a cave with beautiful rock formations, with colors and crystals and minerals. You might even encounter some of your spirit guides in this cave. You might build a beautiful fire and dance around this fire. But again, just go to the extent that you can here and don't judge yourself. If all you've done is light a single match and you still feel like it seems dark, just know that the next time you come back here, maybe that match will turn into a candle, will turn into this beautiful glowing flame that shows you your own beauty, the beauty of your own body, the beauty of this enormous, powerful, physical and energetic space that we tend to get disconnected from, that we especially tend not to want to receive in. We are told our belly is not okay from the time we are very small, and our bellies are beautiful. Your belly is beautiful because it is a part of you and you are beautiful. So let your beautiful cave light up to the extent that you can, and know that even if you can't see it, it is beautiful. Know that there is color and vibrancy and light and shimmer and sparkle. Know that there are guides that are here in this space, ancestors, spirit guides that will come into this space to call in this power. That is your birthright. This is part of that beautiful fierceness of love. And then, as you're ready, bring your awareness to the base of your pelvis here. You can actually put your hands kind of on just above your hip bones. If you'd like, you can put your hands kind of at the small of your back, or you can just do this visually. But start to feel that root chakra. That is the base of your spine. It's that perineum area, that beautiful bowl of your pelvis. We tend to stuff a lot of that energy that we're not ready to release here. So invite this area to release. I invite the energy of my pelvis to release fully. I release anything in my pelvis that no longer serves me with love for the highest good. And again, you may feel no change here, and that's okay. That's completely fine. Let go of the judgment around that. Even if you don't feel it, something released just by setting that intention. And then start to feel into the energy of this space. Start to notice if the energy here frees up, that you feel that connection to your lower body again. You feel your legs, you feel your feet, you feel the ground, the earth beneath your legs and your pelvic floor. And again, you can come back to this space. You can work on this, and small changes will become big change over time. And then finally, allow that beautiful crown chakra we work with every week to open, and invite that unconditional love and light that is your being, that is who you are. Invite it to come in and mingle with this beautiful energy we've connected to within the body. Allow yourself here to, again, release anything which no longer serves you with ease. And then invite this renewal energy in. Invite this beautiful energy. Be receptive. Turn your palms up to the sky here, if you can, in whatever position you're in. And say, I receive love. I receive beautiful, bright, fresh light. I receive the energy of renewal. I receive the energy of unconditional love. I receive unconditional love because I am unconditional love. I now release any expectations about myself and step into full unconditional acceptance of my divine nature. I know that I am loved. I know that I am so loved. I feel that love. I allow that love to come into my heart space. I allow that unconditional love to come into my solar plexus, my sacral chakra, my beautiful belly, my cave. I allow this unconditional love to come into my pelvis, into my root chakra. I allow this unconditional love to flow down my legs and out my feet. I am a being of light. I am a being of love. I receive that love. I release any energy that is not of that love. I let it go without judgment. Stay in this receptive state for as long as you like. If you're in a safe space and you'd like to allow this to help you drift off into sleep, if you'd like to stay in this practice, just keep calling in that love. Keep opening to that love. Remind yourself that you are open to receive. Remind yourself that you are the love which you receive. You are the love which you give. And the more you give that love, the more you will receive it back. The more you will see it in your interactions. The more you will feel it in your body. And you deserve that. You deserve that. If you'd like to come out of the meditation, just start to slowly move your body. Rotate your wrists. Maybe move your head and neck around, shrug your shoulders a few times. Be slow with this, be easy. Bring this state of receptivity into the rest of your day or evening. I encourage you to leave your crown chakra open to receive the highest good, to receive unconditional love. And if you're more comfortable allowing it to close, that's fine. Let your intuition guide you here. And as our last few affirmations in this meditation, let's open to that intuitive guidance. I am fully present in my body and I am open to receive intuitive guidance. I am fully present in my body and I know that my intuitive guidance comes in for my highest good. I am fully present in my body and my intuition is a direct line to the unconditional love of my divine source. As you're ready, take a last few deep breaths if you'd like. Sigh them out. Again, move your body around a little bit if you'd like. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes. I don't know if you can hear it on the recording, but there's an owl outside hooting, and it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. All the signs the universe sends us that we are being supported, that we are loved, and that our fellow creatures are loved. Have a beautiful rest of your evening and your week. And join me next week for a very special pre-recorded episode of Wind Down Wednesday. We'll be talking about the connection between spiritual awakening and trauma release, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me. Have a beautiful night.